Mel's a two-time cancer survivor. That's an emergency. It can be an emergency financially. What were those moments like for you?
So many people told us that your days are numbered here on earth. Immediately what I realized is that, oh, they were right. And the question wasn't about how did I spend my money? The question was about how am I spending my time? Am I truly wealthy? Or am I beholden to the expenses or the demands of the day? Do I get a chance to live by choice? I was a single full-time dad raising my son Jeremy, and at six years old, he came running into me saying, "Hey, Daddy, I drew a picture of you in school today." And I look at this picture, and it was me standing in front of two computer screens with a phone in each ear. That's when I realized somehow I have to figure out how can I get off the treadmill and separate the efforts from the income so I can be the dad I wanted to be. And so the gift of that from Jeremy is what gave me that journey to build a money machine. I had to fight the cancer emotionally, physically, medically, but I didn't fight it financially. And it was a gift that came out of a picture drawn by a 6-year-old.
You have some percentage in the book about millionaires being first generation, and this is great news for everybody.
There's a study of 10,000 millionaires. 79% of the millionaires were first generation, meaning that they didn't win it, they didn't inherit it, it wasn't gifted to them. They created it in their lifetime. So, 8 out of 10 people became a millionaire in their lifetime. 31% of them never made much more than $100,000 a year. So, it isn't about the amount of money. It's what they did with it that allowed them to get to the millions.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
We think that wealth creation is linear. It's not. It's an exponential curve. If I put $10,000 away at 8% a year, it's going to take you 7.6 years to get to $100,000. The first 100,000 is the hardest. It'll take you 20.6 years to get to $500,000. But to get to that last $500,000, only takes 7.5 years. It takes you less time to make the last $500,000 than it did to make the first 100,000. That's why getting in the game sooner than later and staying in the game is the most important thing to your wealth journey. If you don't enjoy the path to financial freedom, you won't enjoy the destination of financial freedom. Believe it or not, people have a problem transitioning to a spend mentality to enjoy it in their golden years. I'm saying, hey, let's enjoy the trip to the golden years and the golden years at the same time.
That's incredible, man. So, hey guys, listen, we're all trying to get more productive. And the question is, how do you find a way to get an edge? I'm a big believer that if you're getting mentoring or you're in an environment that causes growth, a growth-based environment, that you're much more likely to grow and you're going to grow faster. And that's why I love Growth Day. Growth Day is an app that my friend Brendan Burchard has created that I'm a big fan of. Write this down, growthday.com/ed. So if you want to be more productive, by the way, he's asked me, I post videos in there every single Monday that get your day off to the right start. He's got about $5,000, $10,000 worth of courses that are in there that come with the app. Also, some of the top influencers in the world are all posting content in there on a regular basis, like having the Avengers of personal development and business in one app. And I'm honored that he asked me to be a part of it as well and contribute on a weekly basis, and I do. So go over there and get signed up. You're going to get a free, tuition-free voucher to go to an event with Brendan and myself and a bunch of other influencers as well. So you get a free event out of it also. So go to growthday.com/ed. That's growthday.com/ed. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So this week, I get to share a brilliant mind with you on a topic that matters, which is your money. And I think you're going to hear some things about money, retirement, saving, mindset, strategies you've never heard before. And I would have had him on just for that reason. But what you're also going to get to experience is one of the kindest human beings that I know. And just a good man with a beautiful heart. And I love him dearly. And in the last couple of years, we've become very, very close. And he's a tremendous blessing in my life. He's a CPA by trade, and he's an exciting one. And so you're just going to love today's show. So anyway, I'm going to share with you a dear, dear friend today with so much information. If you can take notes, take it. Otherwise, be mentally paying very close attention so you can write this stuff down later. My great friend, Mel Abraham, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, Ed, it's so good to be here, brother, just to get to share time with you, man.
Yeah, but we're going to share time, everybody, about his new book called Building Your Money Machine, how to get your money to work harder for you than you did for it. And I love the topic because most people, frankly, they don't think that way. I didn't used to think that way. I just thought about making money. I never really thought about getting my money working for me, particularly because I wasn't making a lot. So I just assumed you had to make a ton of money to ever retire. And you in the book make a case that that's not necessarily true. So I want to start out somewhere though, brother, because in my family growing up, I think about what were the pain points in my family? What was the stress stuff for my dad, my mom? And it usually came to money.
Yeah.
If I drew it back, it was like work stress, if my dad had lost a job or something, or just money. And, my parents didn't love having to say no to us very often, and just money stress. What for you, just to start, because we're going to get into a lot of principles, any of that in your family? Did you start out, you have any early money memories, anything like that?
One of the first stories in the book was really, so I'm a son of an immigrant. My dad came here at 17 years old with nothing to go to school, became an engineer. So we didn't come from money. We didn't really have money, but we had what we needed. We grew up. I grew up not too far from you. I was in the San Fernando Valley, but I remember at 5.5 years old one day looking at my dad, who was my hero at the time. For the first time I'd ever seen him cry, and him talking to my mom. I didn't know the details. I knew it had to do with money, and I just remember Dad saying, "We can't do that right now." And then looking at my mom in tears and saying, "I feel like I'm letting the people I love the most down." And it just, for a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, it ripped me apart to just see him in tears. But then I didn't have any kind of knowledge or anything to deal with it. So all I did made it kind of mean was, hey, if you don't make money, you're going to let people you love down. And that's kind of the lesson that I took away from it at the time. But that was something that was in our space. So we had what we needed, but it wasn't like we could just do whatever we wanted.
Yeah, funny. I thought that was my upbringing too, and it was like most of it. But I have had this weird thing where I ended up getting pretty wealthy, but that was never my outcome. I was always I even to this day, I didn't want to be poor. And I always wondered where that came from, because I felt like I grew up middle class, maybe lower middle class. But in talking to my mom recently, like, we were on welfare when I was a little boy, and I don't have memories of it, but I think a lot of us have some sort of trauma or memories in our life around our parents worrying or stressing about money. And it is the single subject of importance in people's lives they know the least about. Like, it's
Yeah.
an inevitable topic. You have to know about money. You or have to learn the currency of money, how to save it, how to retire, how to plan, how to budget, how to strategize. It's an inevitable thing in life. It's mandatory. Yet 99% of the population doesn't know very much about it. And the 10% that are left, the 1% that think they do, have a lot of bad information as well. So one of the things you submit in the book is, you call it, like, we have a broken retirement system, right?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
that? Why? What's broken about it? Or what do you mean by that?
But I think that there's two aspects that are broken about it. Is that we carried with us the old industrial age model into today's world. So back in the day, you would work for a company for 40, 50 years. And then as a gift back for your loyalty, they said, we're going to give you a pension, lifetime of income. And so we didn't really have to take care of ourselves in the future, in our future years, in our later years, because we were taken care of for the loyalty we gave to the company. Then they came to us and said, no, y'all are living too long. It's too expensive. So we're taking it away, but we're going to give you this instead. Here's a 401k, here's an IRA, here's a SEP, here's all these things. You go do it. But what they didn't tell us is that when they handed it to us, if I had a pension, all I had to do was work. They took care of everything, the investing, all the choices. But now what they gave us is this retirement plan, but it was a bunch of choices. How much do I invest? Do I participate? Can I invest? What do I invest in? All those things that people aren't educated in, and we're not talking about it. But more importantly, the second part of the broken system is the way that they see retirement. Save, 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 save. Reduce your lifestyle by 20, 30%, then spend. and then pray that your money outlasts your life.
Mhm.
And it's a horrible, like, I don't want to do that. Like, I look at my mom, she's 90 plus years old, 6 years on dialysis. Her cost of assisted living is 15 grand a month.
Wow.
And there isn't a month that goes by that she doesn't look at me and go, am I okay on money? Am I okay on money? Like, that's the last thing we should be worrying about in those years. Now, the blessing is that she's okay because I'm making sure she's okay, just like you do with your family. But absent that, why if we set this up right, we shouldn't be worried about those last years and say, do I have enough money to last the life that I have?
So Mel, I always wondered, because I was in the financial business, and I always thought, how is it that our culture hasn't changed where we know we're supposed to save and pay ourselves first after we tithe, right? And it's just never changed. And you just explained why. It's because really our parents had pension plans. So they
Yeah.
could spend their entire paycheck and they would be okay, potentially. So saving was like a luxury. But it's not, that message you said has not gotten to families the last 40 years, especially the last 20 years. Like, no, you get a paycheck, you stick a little bit in your 401k, and then you go to the mall on the weekend and get whatever the heck you want. And then you buy some stuff from Amazon. And at the end of the month, you might have a credit card balance, and then people are used to carrying debt at high interest rates on credit cards. And it's just sort of the way people live. And then you watch presidential debates and everyone's arguing over Social Security, which is going to be a couple $1,000s a month for the average person, even if it shows up for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this really is broken. So hey guys, I want to jump in here for a second and talk about change and growth. And by the way, it's no secret how people get ahead in life or how they grow. And also taking a look at the future. If you want to change your future, you got to change the things you're doing. If you continue to do the same things, you're probably going to produce the same results. But if you get into a new environment where you're learning new things and you're around other people that are growth oriented, you're much more likely to do that yourself. And that's why I love Growth Day. Write this down for a second. growthday.com/ed. My friend Brendan Bouchard has created the most incredible personal development and business app that I've ever seen in my life. Everything from goal setting software to personal accountability, journaling, courses, thousands of dollars worth of courses in there as well. I create content in there on Mondays where I contribute, as do a whole bunch of other influencers, like the Avengers of influencers and business minds in there. It's the Netflix for high achievers or people that want to be high achievers. So go check it out. My friend Brennan's made it very affordable, very easy to get involved. Go to growthday.com/ed. That's growthday.com/ed. What should someone be thinking if they're 30, let's say right now, or even 20 or 40? What that mindset you said is broken. What should they be thinking and doing?
I think that there's a couple things. No matter your age, stage, or circumstance, it is our responsibility to take care of our future. No one's coming to save us. Okay. If there's Social Security, great, icing on the cake. If there's a windfall, great, icing on the cake. But the bottom line is this: if we're going to win the wealth game, we have to be on the field playing the game.
Good.
We can't be on the sidelines and we can't be in the stands. And so what we need to realize is that they taught us well on the income side. Hey, you got to go earn a living. You got to build a business, get a good job, get a good career, a professional path, make money, make money, make money.
Right.
What they didn't tell us is there's a second journey we need to be on. That's the money journey. See, we think income is the solution to everything, but it isn't, because if it were, then people like Mike Tyson would still be wealthy, or Nicolas Cage, or Burt Reynolds, or we can name them all. They made lots of money, but they ended up broke. So it isn't the money that matters. It's what we do with it. And what we're not taught about is what to do with it. What's the recipe to take the money that we earn to build the money machine so it can take care of us? Because and I learned this as a single full-time dad raising my son, the realization that I will never be free until I have the ability to separate the earnings that I make from the efforts to make it. Mm-hmm. And that's what the money machine does. That's what you do. When we're in the earnings journey, it's us, you and me on stages doing things to make the money. But if we don't do the right thing with that, we will have to do that till we are old and gray.
Yep. One thing I want to jump in on it, then we'll talk about the first step. I want to riff off one another here. So here's something that's not said, and it's hard for people because it's counterculture. The reason that it doesn't, the income is irrelevant is because in our society, here's what happens. If you make $60,000 a year, you may be renting somewhere, right? Potentially, if you're in California anyway. You're renting, or you've got a very small house, depending on where you live, and you've got a Honda in the driveway and car payment, and you're doing well. As you move up, here's our culture. No, you got a promotion. Now you're making $85,000 a year. So now you don't have a Honda in the driveway. You don't rent a place. You own a little bit larger house, and you have a Lexus now in the driveway, right? And you spend all that money. And then a few years later, you're making 100,000. If you're fortunate, you get to $100,000 in income, and now you don't have the Lexus. Now you got a 4-bedroom house, and you got a Mercedes in the driveway, right? And then I've just watched this, friends of mine that then got to 150. Now they don't just have that, they have the house. Now they got a lake house plus the Mercedes in the driveway and a boat. And so my point is that no matter if you make 40, 60, 80, 150, at some point, the first decision to me is that you are not going to change your lifestyle as you make more money for a window of time, 5 or 10 years worth, so you can stack paper and start to save money. It's like, you don't have to have a nicer car because you make more money. You don't have to live in a bigger house because you make more money. You don't have to eat the best steaks. And what happens is that people in our culture, their lifestyle follows their income, and it almost never changes. And so frankly, I have more friends that make less than $100,000 a year that have financial discipline in their life and strategies that have money saved than my friends who make more than $100,000 a year. Now, there's an exception level sometimes if someone gets to 500 or a million where they're just starting to make more than they can spend. But you and I even know a bunch of those dudes and ladies who have no money also. So it's not your income. I have several friends. I have a very good family member who he's an airplane mechanic, and his wife is a nurse. They've both done well in life, right? Their home's paid off. They're retiring with peace and dignity. They've not ever moved out of the home they bought. They paid it off. Their cars are paid off. Their home's paid off. They've got money in retirement accounts. They are living financially very peacefully because they didn't increase their lifestyle to impress people who aren't impressed anyway. So that would be my first step. What is then the next step after that for you in the money machine?
So I think that, so and I love that this translates to what I think is the first step for everything we do.
Okay.
And that is, what is our vision for our life? Because the vision for our life helps us define the plan that we're on, the strategy we need, the tactics that we do with our money. It also helps us do this: eliminate the temptation that you're talking about, eliminate the peer pressure that you're talking about. Because now I can look at it and say, well, my vision for my life is this, and if I go and buy this thing I see on Instagram, or try to compete with my neighbor that just bought a Denali, is that moving me closer to the vision? Let the vision inform all of our decisions. Now we are less susceptible to the peer pressure, the media pressure, the social media pressure of temptation and comparison that cause us to expand our life.
Do you think there is great advice? Do you think there is an appropriate percentage of your income you should be saving regardless of where you're at, or an ideal percentage that someone should be going, okay, I got to take, does Mel think I should be taking 20% of my income, 10%, 5%, or do you not think of it that way?
I do. So I have something called the Wealth Priority Ladder. And in there, I tell people that I want you to strive for 20 to 25% of your income to go towards building your financial freedom, to build your money machine. Now, prior to that, we want to make sure that we've got control of our liquidity and our debt.
Okay.
And so I look at things through the eyes of, hey, safety first. So let's create an unshakable foundation, and now growth second. So I'm not going to swing for the fences when I'm on tenuous ground. I want to make sure that I've got control of some things. And so I have some liquidity in place. I know that I've got control of the debt, and doesn't mean that I'm debt free. It means that I am in control of it, and it's getting paid down, and I have a plan. Now I can start investing.
Okay, let's get granular. Let's go granular. Doesn't matter what someone's income is. I make $60,000 a year. Let's just say I'm single. Make $60,000 a year. After taxes, maybe I take home I'm making it up, depending on where you live, $40,000 a year. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would like me to be saving somewhere around $800 a month then. Is that about right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you believe initially that 800, just guys, we're just spitballing here, but I'll give you ratios. So that 800 or $1,000 a month that I'm saving, people go, oh my gosh, how would I do that? Well, you need to back out the car payment and back, maybe you need to look at these other things. You're saying first, before I go retirement account, I need an emergency fund of, is that what you mean when you say liquidity? I should have a certain amount of money liquid in case the car breaks down, mom needs a loan, income interruption,
Yes.
whatever it is. Okay. And
Yeah.
where do I put that, Mel? We're not going to name investments, but is that the bank? Is that a CD? Like
So
where?
currently, because of the environment we're in, all of my liquid cash is sitting in high yield cash accounts.
Yep.
So three characteristics: 100% fully insured, 100% fully liquid, and 100% expense free. So
Not a
those,
CD because that's not liquid. So you'd be in a savings account that's high yielding. At the time we're recording this, 4% is not unheard of in a high yield account right now.
5% in some places. So
Yep.
yeah,
Right.
it's not unheard of, and it's good enough for now for the liquid funds for emergency. We need to keep it safe, and we need it there because we don't know the definition of an emergency. We don't know what's going to happen. We need it there.
Hey guys, don't let the back to school season set back your nutrition for you or your family. My family, we've been using Green Chef now for over a year. Green Chef is making it easy to stick to your smart eating habits with a new, more flexible menu featuring 35 customizable recipe options every single week. New options including doubling your portion for protein, which is what I do. I get double protein every single time. I got to tell you something. These recipes are delicious. So it's a way to get healthy, to get fit again, and actually to save time and money. People have asked me, hey, man, you look a lot leaner lately. One of the reasons is, in addition to the meals we have that we cook at home or going out, there's a lot of Green Chef going on in our household, and it's yummy and delicious and healthy. So check out Green Chef by going to greenchef.com/Mylett class for 50% off your first box plus 50 free credits with ClassPass. That's code Mylett class at greenchef.com/Mylett class to get 50% off your first box plus 50 free ClassPass credits. Okay, let's talk about that. So Mel's had, I was going to put this in the intro, but I wanted it to be in the middle for those that stay. Mel's had several difficult times in his life. This is a money topic we're going to cover now and a life topic. And he and I have both talked about this because I've had, no secret. You guys know I've had some health issues. Mel's a 2-time cancer survivor, right? Yeah. And so that's an emergency. It can be an emergency financially. So describe, Mel, first and second time, how it affected you emotionally and potentially financially as well in your life when that happened. What were those moments like for you? And did the fact that you had some money saved give you a little bit more peace of mind?
Someone asked me, did the cancer change you? Which is a crazy question. Of course it did. But the fact is that what it got me to realize is, so many people told us that your days are numbered here on earth. Mm-hmm. And I didn't take it serious. I just, and I'm not a smoker, not a drinker. No one in my family ever had cancer. So it never was even in my thought process that it would happen. And so immediately what I realized is that, they were right. And the question wasn't about how did I spend my money? The question was about how am I spending my time? And starting to look at it and say, wow, if I measure my wealth in the number of moments I can control in my life, am I truly wealthy? Or am I beholden to the expenses or the demands of the day? Do I get a chance to live by choice? And so that was the psychological element of it, of realizing that I better appreciate the moments and hope that I have a ton of them and a lot of them left in me, but I don't get a second run at this. And so that's how I started to look at things and say, what are the things that really matter? What are the things that really bring me joy? What are the things that bring me fulfillment? How can I take and allocate my funds and my money and my income and my wealth to allow those to be accentuated and elevated in my life? And so That was part of it. The other part of it was back when I was, like I said, I was a single full-time dad raising my son Jeremy from 5.5, and at six years old, he came running into me saying, "Hey, Daddy, I drew a picture of you at school today," and I look at this picture, and it was me standing in front of 2 computer screens with a phone in each ear. And I go, oh my God, this is a mirror into my soul. And at the hands of a 6-year-old, that's when I realized somehow I have to figure out how can I get off the treadmill and separate the efforts from the income so I can be the dad I wanted to be. And so the gift of that from Jeremy is what gave me that journey to build the money machine that I talk about. I didn't understand the power of it until the cancer. Because when the cancer hit, I didn't have to drain a bank account. I didn't have to sell anything. I didn't downsize. I didn't do anything. We had a machine. And I talked to my wealth team. I said, hey, the money that you're generating in that, send it to me and allow me to focus 100% on healing. So I shut down my business. I shut down my speaking. I shut down everything I was doing. And the only thing I did was fight the cancer. And everything I did from that moment forward was that. And I had to fight the cancer emotionally, physically, medically, but I didn't fight it financially. And it was a gift that came out of a picture drawn by a 6-year-old.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. And you've told me that privately before. The money, then I know people are leaning in now going, okay, so I need some of this machine in my life. So the good news is there's no way adequately on any podcast you're ever going to get everything out of a book. So I want you guys to go get Building Your Money Machine by Mel Abraham. But what are the elements of this machine? Like, what do they need to know about having this machine that they don't know, Mel? What are some of the elements?
I think the first thing is to understand there's 5 levels of income that we can generate.
Okay.
And only 3 of them are the things that are going to give you your time back. So everything I was measuring to say, how do I get time back? So at the very beginning of our life, we get a job. That's active income. We're swapping our relationship between making money and effort is 1-to-1.
Okay.
Not scalable. That doesn't give us any freedom whatsoever. Then we turn around and say, okay, so that's level 1. The level 2 above that, I call it business income. It's when we start to pay other people to do some of the things so I can get my time back. It's leveraged in the sense of it gets me a little time back, but I still am required. It's the top 3 we need to look at. And this is where we start to look at how do we start to generate income streams from these top 3. And the first level is asset-based, real estate, equipment, things that are hard assets that I can buy. I make an investment once, I maintain it over time, but I get rents over a long period of time. I've got someone that they've got multiple properties. They're making literally $400,000 a year just from rents. And their effort is much, much lower. So that's asset-based. The next step up is residual income. This is where we create something. It's your book. It's my book. It's white labeling things. It could be a downline in a network marketing. It's something. It's songwriters and actors and actresses. Create something. Take the time to invest and create something that will pay dividends and income over a period of time. But I create it once and get paid often.
Yep. And
then the final stage of that is portfolio income. It's what we think about in the sense of investing, stocks, bonds, ETFs, index funds, annuities, things like that. And so I look at them at levels of leverage, but here's the machine. The machine is I can pay for 80% or more of my lifestyle from the top 3.
Got it.
And so I have income streams from asset, residual, and portfolio. So when I got the cancer, I said, flip the machine on, let the income come to me. And now the bottom 2, I'm not doing anything in. And then when I came back from it, I flipped it on its head again.
Back and you now do 1 and 2 again. That's really good, yep. Mel. This is a hard one. I ask anybody of my friends that are money, and I just know that this is what people that are in a job right now, particularly, are thinking too. How do you feel about the 401k thing? So, some people think it's just automatic. They should do it. So everyone, let me just set you the stage on this discussion. There's a debate. So 401k without matching, that's one way, where your employee's not giving you any other money. That is pre-tax income you're putting into something. With exception, you're not going to touch until you're 59 and a half, 62 and a half, depending on what the age is they use. So that is, by definition, you could maybe touch it, but you're going to pay some taxes and some penalties, potentially. So there's that. Then there's the 401k where the employer matches. And then there's the idea of don't do that because tax rates are likely to be higher. So you're deferring your taxes into a higher tax environment. And the reason this is an important question is the vast majority of people who have money saved that they call retirement income is in a 401k, right?
Yep.
It is. And so I'm just curious as to your thoughts overall on that.
Here's the thing. Anything that's going to get us committed to making it automatic, I'm game for. So that's one side of it. If there is a match, I'm going to 100% take the match because it's a 100% return. Now, some 401ks have high costs, not a lot of options, and they can be challenging. Most of them are getting better these days. But rather than not participate, I would first go to the HR department and say, hey, like my brother, I'm looking at the options he's got in his company, and we're having a conversation with their HR saying, can we get more options here? These are too high cost. There's too many expenses, and we could get 1% more return to all the participants if we put lower cost things in. So I would do that. I also, this idea of, well, I don't know what the tax rates are going to be. I don't. Are they going to go up? Probably. The question isn't where the tax rates are. The question is, where's your tax rate and your income going to be down the road? Mm-hmm. When you build wealth, if I do it just in the 401k, then you're going to be subject to paying tax when you take it out. But what we try to do is there's three buckets. The tax-deferred 401k, my regular brokerage account, and tax-free. So Roth, those kinds of things. And I now can control the tax level when I go to retire. And many 401ks now, which is what my brother's doing right now with his company, they actually have Roth elements to the 401k. And so I have him contributing to a Roth. He's over 50. He can put $30,000 away in a Roth. Doesn't get a tax deduction for it today, but when he takes it out down the road, 100% tax-free. All the growth, everything.
So everybody, the reason this matters is this is what a lot of you my friends are doing. So I just want to say this to you. You've just walked into HR, you check the box, I'm in the growth one. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. You don't know the fees. You don't know the cost. You don't know exactly the match potentially. You don't know the tax implications, and you don't know your options outside of that. If you took that money home, paid taxes on it, what you could do with it. The point that we're both making here is this is worthy of a little education for you. Get your questions answered about your 401k. What are the fees? What are the costs? What are the options? What's the track record, right? What are your options outside of that with a Roth IRA, with life insurance, with municipal bonds, or whatever they might be, treasuries? I'm not recommending anything here at all. I don't know your financial situation, and I'm not allowed to make recommendations, and Mel's not doing that either. What we're saying is, don't just run down the assembly line like everybody else and go, I think I'm in the income one. I'm in the growth. The income growth what? I don't know. When can you get it? I'm not sure, right? What if you leave your employer? You need to know these things, right? It's your money.
Yeah.
Okay. The other element of it too, and then we'll get out of the granular, but I just think having you here, CPA background, he's written 2 books on this topic. He's and our circle of friends, a guy everybody respects and admires, and this is with people that have, significant money. So I get asked all the time, how did I get so much attention on social media, in my businesses, email list, etc.? I can tell you straight up, it's been Constant Contact. If you don't know who Constant Contact is, you need to know about these guys. Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform has helped millions of small businesses, mine being one of them, stand out, stay on top of mind, and see big results fast. They've got an easy way to promote your business with powerful tools like email, SMS marketing, social media posting, and they even do events management, what they've done for me in the past as well. You're going to reach new audiences, you're going to grow your customer list big time, and communicate more effectively to sell more, raise more, and grow fast on social media. So get going and start growing your business today. with a free trial at constantcontact.com. Just go to constantcontact.com right now. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall. ConstantContact.com. One of the obstacles to getting wealthy or comfortable, financially independent, guys, is obviously the amount of money you save. Taxes is an enemy. Fees are an enemy. Rate of return can be an enemy. But the big monster in the room for a lot of people is debt. It's just debt. They're spending money on credit cards, high interest loans that are non-tax deductible. They're spending money on car payments, student loan debt, you name it. And so what about debt? What advice, counsel would you give just about everybody listening who's got, there's data now that says the average American that's 30 years old has more debt than savings. So, and that's consumer debt. So what's your advice about that?
So first things, I'm not one of those that says all debt's the devil, but I do say that all debt has two personality traits. They both, you've got destructive debt and you got productive debt, but both of them will cost in interest and both will stress. They stress our psyche and they stress our pocketbook. I think we ought to be avoiding destructive debt. Destructive debt is the debt that is for consumables, stuff, that we can't afford. Here's why we get into debt. Marketers are great about this. Why do they give us credit cards? Not so we could have credit. It's to remove the friction from the buying decision. And when they remove the friction from the buying decision, we buy more, and they know this. And so it's the reason you walk on a car lot to go buy a car and they say, what payment do you want? Because they know that they can get you into a payment, play the math game, and they go, well, it's only $100 more. And so the payment game is a dangerous, cliff that you're walking on. And so I always look at things and say, can I pay for it in cash, especially if it's a consumable?
Okay, he just said something no one's ever said on the show that I want you all to hear. If when you tell somebody that you got a good deal and then you tell them it's your payment on your electric bill versus your solar bill, your payment on your car payment versus another one, your payment on your appliances, somebody has been playing a game with you, which is the payment game in sales. You actually want to know what you paid for the item, what the interest rate is, and when that payment is done being paid, and whether or not that interest is tax deductible. It is not a good deal based on the payment. Payments are easily manipulated, and it is a sales game. And I'm letting you in on something, and so is he right there. And I would say more and more those strategies, Mel, and I don't mean this to knock anybody who does it, those strategies are typically used more aggressively of people of lower or middle income than they are with wealthy people. Would you agree with that?
I agree. The power of compounding can be a tool to create wealth or a weapon to destroy us. And we have to understand which side of that equation we're on. And if we're on the debt side, it's destroying us, especially at the rates on credit cards that we have today. You can't get out from under it at 28%.
You're all hearing this, guys. This is the best stuff you're going to hear on money in a long time. What about fear? I have lost some money based on fear more than once. Now, a couple times my fear has protected me from making a mistake, which we'll talk about afterwards. But you have any experiences with fear-based decisions and it costing you money?
So I lost 1/3 of my net worth in an investment that turned out to be a Ponzi scheme.
What?
Yeah. Me and two buddies, we lost over $4.5 million.
Oh my goodness! You mind elaborating a little bit on it?
Yeah. So
wow.
And these people, and I use the term lightly, people, they're parasites that play these games and everything. They're really good at it. He knew how to stroke the emotions, the aspiration, the desire, the picture of what life could be like. I got into the investment. Now I'm a financial dude. I should know better. And I put the rules away. I stopped the voice from listening to the voice. I didn't do my due diligence. I just started doing the math and saying, God, if I get this return, and I started investing. And it was too late. By the time I realized this is not real, I was already invested, you know, and so we lost it all. And what he was doing was basic, and he showed everything. You know, he had reports and everything, but he was basically saying, "I'm buying distressed assets from distressed companies, and then we're selling them at auction, and we make 20% return." And it sounded great, and he showed me the reports and everything. So shame on me, but it's what gave rise to the rules, the criteria, and the due diligence that I have today. But here's the thing about fear and emotions. I find that when our emotions get involved with our money and we start to make more emotionally charged decisions with our money, our intellect has gone out the window. So we make less smart decisions when emotions are involved when it comes to our money. And so this is why you want to put a space between the choice. The marketers know this. Hey, it's going away tomorrow. Good. If it goes away, it goes away. I'm okay. I'm not making a rush decision. And you want to keep that calm demeanor. If it's a great deal and you miss it, so be it. But if it is a bad deal and you miss it, you're far better off. I'd rather leave money on the table and know that I have money in my pocket than make that mistake again. And so
incredible advice, Mel. Let me just say so that Mel better and you do too. I'm also a money person, and I had somebody completely take advantage of me, as you know, in the last 2 years, and never thought a human being was capable of such destruction or, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And so if Mel and I are capable of being prey to predators of ill intent, you are as well. And this notion that you just said, Mel, of just had someone this week, hey, the fund's closing this weekend. I'm like, well, then it's closing because I'm not ready. And so any of that at the end, I don't like. And I also totally agree with you. I'd rather miss a good deal than lose money in a really bad deal. And I think you all should just heed that advice from two middle-aged dudes who have been all over the gamut financially. And he's 100% right. It's even like I look at it this way. I go to Las Vegas. I don't gamble, right? Because if I win $100, it doesn't feel that good anymore. But losing 100 still hurts really bad, right?
I'm with you, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'd rather go to a show.
So would I. I'd rather just enjoy myself. What about, let's give the good news. You have some percentage in the book about millionaires being first generation.
Yeah.
And this is great news for everybody. I think it should give all of you hope if you're not saved any money yet and you're 40, or you're, maybe you're down the road a little bit and you've saved a little bit. Give them these percentages here. This is awesome.
So, I think this is great. So there's a study of 10,000 millionaires. 79% of the millionaires were first generation, meaning that they didn't win it, they didn't inherit it, it wasn't gifted to them. They created it in their lifetime. So, y'all, 8 out of 10 people became a millionaire in their lifetime. That's good odds. Yeah, now, compare that with something else that's in the same study. 31% of them never made much more than $100,000 a year. So it isn't about the amount of money. It's what they did with it that allowed them to get to the millions. And it's huge. And this is the thing that I think
what percentage don't make $100,000?
31.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
The millionaire next door is a real thing.
It really is. Here's the thing we don't realize, because we think that wealth creation is linear. It's not. It's an exponential curve. There's something called the wealth flat line. And during that time, this is when you're investing, and it doesn't feel like you're making any gains. What you're doing is compressing the spring. Watch what happens. If I put $10,000 away at 8% a year, $10,000 away a year, it's going to take you 7.6 years to get to $100,000. Okay? So it's going to take a little bit to get to 100,000. The first 100,000 is the hardest. It'll take you 20.6 years to get to $500,000 at that rate. But to get to the million, that last $500,000, only takes 7.5 years. It takes you less time to make the last $500,000 than it did to make the first 100,000. That's why getting in the game, getting on the field sooner than later and staying in the game is the most important thing to your wealth journey.
Yeah. And what he said earlier, everybody, this is so good. Understanding what compound interest is. both the negative on a credit card and understanding the benefits of staying in that game. And hey guys, your metabolism is so critical because your metabolism is at the center of everything going on in your body. Optimal metabolic health is critical because it's involved in everything you do. It improves your energy levels. It has weight loss and management benefits, better fitness results, better sleep. So metabolism matters so much. That's why I love Lumen. It's a device that can help measure your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it'll let you know, it'll detect whether you're burning for fat or carbs in that moment, gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, your workouts, your sleep, and even stress management. It's really a brilliant idea, and now I don't know what I would do without it. So if you want to take the next step in helping to improve your wellness, go to lumen.me/edmylett to get 15% off your Lumen. That is Lumen, LUMEN.me/edmylett for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. What about also, we haven't talked about this, it's not in any of my notes, I'm just curious, like if you're in a 401k or you're investing, the idea of dollar cost averaging over time, do you still believe in that?
I do. I myself, so full transparency, we are buying every month. Okay. So my team is buying every month I have a defined benefit, I have a cash balance defined benefit plan, a 401k and profit sharing. So we're buying in all of those every month. If we get a big dip in the market, we'll double in. And we just keep going. Here's the thing. If you look long-term, 10 years or more, 94% of the time the market will be up. Okay. So as if we're talking about, hey, I need the money in 3 years or 5 years, different conversation. Yeah. But if we're looking long-term, your probability of winning goes way up. So I'm sitting back saying, let's just keep going.
That's so good. I didn't know that stat, by the way. That's a really good stat. You say, I'm trying to give people some mindset stuff here. Tell me what this means. It's in the book. Everybody, you should get the book. Your money are your employees. What do you mean when you say that?
So here's what I see. Think about this. If those of you that are business owners will understand this, but say you're going to hire 10 employees. Okay. You bring them into the conference room, their first day of work. You look at them and you say, hey, welcome to the company. As you notice, we do things different around here. You don't have an office. You don't have a job description. You don't have a title. You don't have a role. I'm not going to give you goals and I'm not going to set tasks. Let's go ahead and let's double the business in the next 12 months. Like, you think it's going to happen? And the answer is no. And the reason for it is this is what we do with our money.
You're right.
Too often we let the money come in and we don't have a job description. Every dollar should have a job description. Every dollar should know, is this for the mortgage, for rent, for clothes, for food? But here's the power of it. Should have a job description before the dollar is earned. So before I ever make it, I should have the plan for it. So it takes all the decision making and the emotions and temptation out of the game. So some people will call it a budget. I call it a permission to spend. And so now we get a chance to say, hey, I know your job. You're going to come into my life and you're going to take care of this. There's no question. There's no discussion. There's no temptation. We don't. And it also gets rid of shame, guilt of spending. So if I have $250 allocated for my night out and I go spend it, it was in the plan.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Because that's the other thing. When you become such a crazy saver, then you feel it's almost like someone who's a crazy dieter. Then all of a sudden you're having a piece of cake and you feel horrible and you don't even enjoy it. So your point of having every dollar designated before it comes in, now you can enjoy the stuff you're spending and splurging on. That's so good. Actually, I want my kids to hear that part of the book too. I'm going to give that to my kids.
Oh, there was one other thing that I think I want to be really clear on. Because there's, obviously people will say, don't do anything. You can't do anything until you're completely settled. This. I don't believe if you don't enjoy the path to financial freedom, you won't enjoy the destination of financial freedom. And so when we create the vision and the plan, I have my clients to say, I want you to find 2 to 4 max joy points of your life. The things that are long sustainable joy. Like my wife and I love to travel.
Yeah.
We make memories, we create experiences. So in the plan, it is there. So we make sure that I'm going to allocate to some of those things that truly bring me joy, not momentary pleasures, but truly bring me joy. So on the journey, I'm doing two things. I have joy along the journey, and I'm learning, because believe it or not, this is difficult for some people, to enjoy the money and the wealth I'm creating. Because if we spend all our years save, 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 invest, 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 believe it or not, people have a problem transitioning to a spend mentality to enjoy it in their golden years. I'm saying, hey, let's enjoy the trip to the golden years and the golden years at the same time.
Wow. Do you think that's so good? What do you think of someone who's got a job and says, do you think more people should be considering side hustles, secondary income, things of that nature to accelerate the process? How do you feel about that?
I used to think it was a luxury. I actually think that multiple streams of income is a requirement now. I think that if the pandemic proved anything, it is to make sure that there is no concept of a safe job or something like that. So if I have some additional income streams that I can fall back on that supplement some of this other stuff, it gives me some latitude and it gives me some peace of mind. So I like the idea of side hustles. What I don't want it to do is you got to ask yourself, what's the sacrifice? If I've got like the picture that Jeremy drew, or if I'm not present, I might be physically here, but if I'm not present with my wife, Stephanie, or with the kids and the grandkids were out this weekend and I'm not present there, then the sacrifice may be too much. So I think we got to find a balance, but if I can get some additional income streams, especially to build the leveraged income streams in those top three categories of the 5 incomes, it starts to give you a little more flexibility and peace of mind down the road.
So good, Mel. This has been so good. It's flying by. Really, really good. Okay, last question for you for today. First step for everybody. We're going to go first step. First step, go get the book. Go get Building Your Money Machine. It's going to help you. I've read it. I read it a long time ago. I was one of the first people to read it. I was gifted a pre-copy. But let's give someone an actionable step. They're listening today. They're like, all right, I got it. I got a new focus on this. What do I do next, Mel? I'm going to grab the book. I listen to the show. What's my next step?
It's going to be an odd step, but I think the next step is if you're in a committed relationship or an intimate relationship, I actually want you to have a conversation with your significant other. I want you to get yourselves not on the same line, but on the same page of the vision you want for your life. It's not a conversation about money. It's a conversation about your dreams. And that will inform the roles you have to play when it comes to the money that we can talk about next. But I think without that, I see too many relationships where you've got one person handling the money and the other person's along for a ride or doesn't know. I want you all on the same page, because this journey to creating a life together can be one that brings you together. Money doesn't need to be a separator. It can be the glue that keeps you together and the tool that allows us to live the life that we want. So I think the first thing is to actually open up the dialogue with the people that you care most about in your life.
Okay. And then anything money-wise right after that? You said you wanted to say one other thing after that.
Yeah. So right after that is I would look at first, what are the things that actually matter to me that I want to make sure that I have in my life that are going to cost me money. So, and I'm going to allocate. I'm going to put a plan together. Bottom is what I'm doing. So I'm going to say, this is where the money's going. I'm going to be deliberate about it and put it away. It could be, and part of that is pushing to the 20-25% of your income. I'm going to give you an out on this. If you're sitting back saying, there's no way I can do 20-25%, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start at 2, 3, or 5%, somewhere in that range. And then every quarter, bump it up a percent. And all I want you to do is this, is that every week or every time you get paid, that percentage goes into a high yield savings account. Out of sight, out of mind, no temptation. You don't have to make investing decisions. You don't have to do anything. I just want it out of there. It'll earn you 4 or 5% right now. And just get in the habit of doing that. Keep pushing it up. Once you have $1,000 or $1,500 in that account, Then the next step is I'm going to tell you to move it into something of an investment, some broad-based, low-cost index or ETF. Something easy, simple, that doesn't require a lot of analysis, doesn't require a lot of understanding. S&P 500 or total stock market index fund is fine. If you're in a 401k, then I'm going to tell you the first thing to do is to make sure you're getting the match. If there isn't a match, then you can decide whether you want to be in that 401k or do it outside the 401k.
It was great counsel today, everybody. You're welcome. That's all I could say. And I'm grateful to my friend Mel for being here today. Building Your Money Machine is his book. Share today's episode. Almost everybody can get something out of what we covered today. A savvy investor to someone who's just beginning, children, teenagers, retirees, you name it, get something out of today's conversation. Thank you, Mel. And everybody, God bless you. Max out.